Hector meets the forest. Once upon a time, in a beautiful meadow filled with wildflowers and tall grass, there lived a little hedgehog named Hector. Hector was a friendly hedgehog who loved to explore the meadow and make new friends. He was always on the lookout for new creatures to meet and adventures to embark upon. One sunny afternoon, while Hector was wandering around the meadow, he heard a loud quacking noise. He followed the sound until he came across a little duck named Daniel. Daniel was a curious duck who loved to splash in the nearby pond and search for tasty treats to eat. "Hello there!" exclaimed Hector. "I'm Hector the hedgehog." "What's your name?" "I'm Daniel the duck," replied the little duck. "Nice to meet you, Hector." Hector and Daniel quickly became friends and spent their days exploring the meadow together. They searched for ripe berries, chased butterflies, and splashed in the cool pond. They were always up for an adventure, and they had so much fun together. One day, while they were exploring the meadow, they stumbled upon a beautiful field of flowers. The flowers were so colorful and fragrant that Hector and Daniel couldn't resist taking a closer look. As they sniffed and admired the beautiful blooms, they suddenly heard a loud buzzing noise. They looked up to see a swarm of bees buzzing around the flowers. Hector and Daniel were scared because they didn't want to get stung. They quickly hatched a plan to protect themselves. Hector curled up into a tight little ball, using his prickly spines to protect himself. Daniel ran to the nearby pond and splashed around, sending water droplets flying into the air. The bees were confused by the sudden commotion and flew away, leaving Hector and Daniel safe and sound. From that day on, Hector and Daniel knew that they could always count on each other, no matter what kind of adventure they faced. They continued to explore the meadow together, making new friends and having fun along the way. And they always remembered to stick together and watch each other's backs. Hector the hedgehog and Daniel the duck had many kinds of fun while exploring the meadow together. Some of the things they enjoyed doing included searching for ripe berries, chasing butterflies, splashing in the pond, and rolling around in the grass. As they explored, they also met many new creatures. They encountered a family of rabbits who were grazing on some clover, a colony of ants busy building their nest, and a friendly ladybug who landed on Hector's nose. They even came across a wise old owl who sat perched in a tree, watching over the meadow and all its inhabitants. Hector and Daniel loved meeting new friends and learning about the different creatures that lived in the meadow. Each day was a new adventure, filled with fun and discovery. One of Hector and Daniel's exciting adventures in the meadow involved exploring a dense thicket of bushes that they had never seen before. The bushes were so tall and thick that they could hardly see what was on the other side. Hector was a brave hedgehog, so he led the way, using his sharp senses to navigate through the thicket. Daniel followed closely behind, splashing through puddles of mud and quacking in excitement. As they pushed through the bushes, they suddenly stumbled upon a beautiful clearing filled with wildflowers and butterflies. In the center of the clearing was a small pond, surrounded by tall trees. Hector and Daniel were delighted by the discovery of this hidden oasis in the meadow. They spent hours exploring the area, watching the butterflies dance through the flowers and splashing in the cool pond. Just as they were about to head back to their homes, they noticed a family of deer grazing in the nearby grass. The deer were beautiful creatures with soft brown fur and delicate antlers. Hector and Daniel were amazed by the sight of the deer and decided to approach them slowly and carefully. To their surprise, the deer were friendly and allowed the two friends to come close and admire their beauty. It was a magical adventure that Hector and Daniel would never forget, and they returned to the meadow often to visit their new friends in the clearing. One day, when Hector and Daniel returned to the meadow, they noticed that something was wrong. The once beautiful meadow was littered with trash and debris, and the air smelled of pollution. Hector and Daniel were saddened by the sight of their beloved meadow in such a state. They knew that they had to do something to help. They decided to start by cleaning up the litter in the meadow. With their strong determination, they worked tirelessly to collect all the trash they could find. They picked up discarded wrappers, empty cans, and even broken glass. As they worked, they also talked to the other animals in the meadow and shared their concerns about the state of their home. They encouraged their friends to help, and together, they formed a plan to keep the meadow clean and beautiful. They worked tirelessly day after day, cleaning up the litter, planting new flowers, and encouraging others to take care of their home. Slowly but surely, the meadow began to heal, and the air smelled fresher once again. Over time, the meadow returned to its former beauty, with wildflowers blooming, bees buzzing, and butterflies dancing in the air. Hector and Daniel were proud of the work they had done and knew that they had made a difference in the world. And so, they continued to explore the meadow and make new friends, but this time, with the added responsibility of caring for their home and keeping it clean for generations to come. As Daniel was helping to clean up the litter in the meadow, he spotted something glinting in the sunlight. At first, he thought it was just another piece of trash, but upon closer inspection, he realized that it was a little gold ring. The ring was small and delicate, with intricate designs etched into the metal. It was unlike anything Daniel had ever seen before. He knew that it must belong to someone special and decided to try and find the owner. Hector and Daniel asked around the meadow, but no one seemed to know who the ring belonged to. They even asked the wise old owl for advice, but he too was stumped. Just when they thought they would never find the owner, they noticed a group of fairies fluttering about near the pond. The fairies were known to be the keepers of magic and had a reputation for knowing everything that happened in the meadow. Hector and Daniel approached the fairies and asked if they knew anything about the lost ring. To their surprise, one of the fairies recognized the ring and told them that it belonged to the fairy queen herself. The fairy queen was known to be a kind and generous ruler, but she had been heartbroken when she lost her beloved ring. Hector and Daniel knew that they had to return it to her. With the help of the fairies, Hector and Daniel traveled to the fairy queen's castle deep in the heart of the meadow. They were greeted warmly by the queen, who was overjoyed to be reunited with her lost ring. As a reward for their honesty and kindness, the queen bestowed upon Hector and Daniel a magical gift, the ability to talk to animals in any language they wished. From that day on, Hector and Daniel could speak with all the creatures of the meadow and learned even more about their home and its inhabitants. It was a magical adventure, and Hector and Daniel knew that they had made a true friend in the fairy queen. Good night, little ones. Sleep well.